Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Music of the Week. So, yeah, don't really have a lot of build up to this. There was no Fight the Night took over yesterday, so I could have done this video yesterday, but I didn't do it. And obviously also I put up my full Defy the Gods 3 show on YouTube, so that's on my channel now. God, that was a great show. Not as good as Defy the Gods 2, but I still thought it was a really good show. And yeah, thank you to everyone who tuned in to watch it on Twitch when I was streaming it, and to everyone who's watching it on YouTube, if they do. But that's for, like, you know, sort of the past. As for the now, we have 6 albums to cover, so quite a big one. Let's go. We start off with a band I'm quite familiar with, Badflower, with their second album, This Is How the World Ends. Now, I listened to their debut, OK I'm Sick, and I really liked OK I'm Sick, and I really like This Is How the World Ends, honestly, a lot more. I'm giving it an A+ because it does what I like a good sequel album to do. You know, it's got really good build-up from the stuff that they did on their first album, and it, like, expands on a lot of it. Keeps a lot of the same themes, but does, like, add more maturity to them. And there's some really great subject matter as well. Badflower have a tendency to go for the darker stuff and the more relatable, realistic stuff in that sense, and that's what I've always liked. They're top-tier songwriters, really good performance as well. Yeah, solid production too. Like, the production is held together quite well, really good experimenting with what they do, and a lot faster pacing as well, but still, like, good restraint. So yeah, really great album. Next up is a debuting act, sort of a project which I couldn't find where they're from, but they consist of Sid Jagger and Joseph Gurlow, a couple of, like, other bands. One of those bands being a band called Gay for Johnny Depp. The project is called Judas Knife, and this is their debut album called Death is the Thing with Feathers. And it's a I haven't listened to a lot of Gay for Johnny Depp. They're the only band I've really heard of from the groups that they used to be in, and I know that they're a bit heavier than this. This is like more of a post-grungy, shoegaze, slow-wood alternative rock thing than I was expecting. And it was still pretty solid. I'm giving it a B-. It does suffer from a bit of a plodding pace at times. It is pretty repetitive, but really sorry for my hair today. But yeah, it's got really good moments as well, and really good heaviness. I actually think it's an album that benefits from having longer songs, weirdly. My favourite is the last song on the album, titled Her Feathers, which is over 6 minutes long, and it's the longest song on the album. A lot of the songs do have a bit of trouble picking up speed at times, but there's sort of a loose conceptual theme. I couldn't tell you for the life of me what it is. I think that's what's holding me back from giving this album high grade too. I don't really know a lot going in. Like, you know, I think if I knew a bit more, I'd probably be more inclined to like it more than I do. But I think, you know, B- is the lowest grade in this episode, spoiler alert. And it's still pretty solid for a debut. I just think that there's a couple of things they need to tighten up on. Then again, these are people who've been in bands that have been around for a while, so maybe they will do that. We'll just have to wait and see. I am interested to see where this project will go, though. We go from a location I couldn't find to a location I could find, Austin, Texas, for a band called Nominee, and their third album, I think it is, third or fourth, in Lowlife. So these are a band that have been around for since some point after 2010. So they've been around for roughly a decade, a little bit less than a decade. This is their first album to have more than 7 songs, by the way, and I did check, all their previous albums all have about 7 songs, and they're all called albums, not EPs. But, you know, I didn't listen to those. I listened to this, and I fell in love. I'm giving it an A+. It's got a lot of the same vibes that Sincere Engineer's album did, you know, with Bless My Psyche. There was just so much to love about it. Not a long album, but much like Sincere Engineers wasn't, but packs so much stuff into it. Really like the subject matter, really like the production, really like how laid the vocals feel, really like how it goes, you know. It's got really good pacing, it's got really catchy songwriting. And there's been a couple of albums similar to this that I've really enjoyed that could make my best list by the end of the year. So yeah, this album could be one of those, and I really had a lot of fun with it. It's a very dark, sort of emo tinge bit of punk, you know, a bit rougher around the edges, which really benefits the sound. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, hence the A+. Really like this one. Next we head to the creepiest American state in Massachusetts for Poppy with her 4th album, I believe, Flux. Yes, Poppy, a artist that people have actually heard of, I know. I'm vaguely familiar with her. I haven't listened to a lot of her stuff. I listened to the stuff she did with Fever 333, mostly for Fever 333 because I'm a big fan of them. And you know what? I know this is not like held as in high regard as her other stuff, And I was not expecting a lot, but I really liked it. I'm giving it a B+. I like how it's more of a pop-punky sort of feeling album, and it's a style she fits really well. I know it doesn't really lean as much into the dark and metal stuff that she has a tendency to do, but I didn't really care about that. I thought it was just a really fun performance from her, and I know that like fans are going to be a bit divided about it. I'm not a fan of Poppy, and I liked this album more than I thought I would. She's a really good songwriter, really good performer as well. Really has like a lot of great character moments in certain songs, and she does still scream on the album. She's got a really good scream for a small gal, very small, but she screamed good, and she sings well too, and she captures a lot of different styles really well. I like a good experimentation, and it mostly worked. So yeah, I don't really have a lot of issues with this album, except for the fact that I wouldn't call myself a Poppy fan after this, but I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, and I think, yeah, way too many people are kicking up a stink about it, but what can you do? Next up, we go to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for a band called Signs of the Swarm with their fourth album, Absolvia. Now, these are a band that were formed sort of from the ashes of Lorna Shore, because their former vocalist CJ McCreary, who is no longer with the band, formed these guys while he was still with Lorna Shore. CJ only recently left Lorna Shore, I think. I don't know how the whole story goes, but basically, yeah, this was surprisingly solidly put together deathcore by Signs of the Swarm, and I'm giving this also a B+. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would, considering how sort of dumb deathcore has been this year. There's been some really elevated albums in the genre, but there has also been the much simpler and stupid stuff. This album, like, does a lot of complex things, but manages to wind it back when it needs to. It doesn't try to confuse you with just how blast beaty it can be. Really good lyrical themes too. I like how, like, some of the words used in terms of the lyrics are like Bad Religion levels of like one word with like 6 syllables in it, you know, a really long word. And most of it worked, and it leaned into sort of like a character-focused story and concept in a way. And I hope that they do all their albums like this, because this is their fourth one. And yeah, I really liked, again, I liked a lot more of the elements than I thought I was going to, especially from deathcore genre, which I've never been super duper keen on. Like, obviously I'm warming to it more as, you know, as I age gracefully, as I do. Yeah, I liked it a lot more than I thought I would, and I think if you want to listen to it, you might enjoy it more than you think you will too. So, you know, as always, don't take my word for it. If you want to give it a go, I recommend giving it a go. Heavy, pretty decent story as well, solidly held together by production, really enjoyable. And finally, we go to Berlin, Germany for We Butter the Bread with Butter with their fifth album, Das Album. So I've known about We Butter the Bread with Butter for about a decade, because back when my brother was living with us, he had a weird sort of deathcore phase. Now he doesn't really listen to it, and back then I wasn't listening to it, and now I am listening to it more. We sort of came across these guys somehow, and I've never listened to a full album of theirs despite knowing about them for over 10 years, and I'm really glad I did. This is their first album in 6 years. I'm giving it a B. Like, it's not the best thing. And I think what helps with it is, first of all, the inclusion of like more electronic elements is not as heavy as their old stuff was, that from what I heard of their old stuff. And it's just fucking dumb. It's a meme album, and it's the best kind of meme album. There are songs about, like, sex jokes, inadequate penis size, taking shits, day jobs. There's so much, like, weirdly hilarious subject matter, and some really good satire built in too, if you can, like, listen close enough. It's... One thing that does hold it back is the fact that it's got only 2 members in it. One of those is the band's original singer, Toby, and the other one is, let me just scroll up a bit on the wiki page, Marcy Newman, the only band member to still be with them today, who's basically done all the instruments for this one. So, yeah, I don't know, like, how that all works, but this album works more than it should, and it's a very, very funny one. So, I'd recommend it just for the giggles, you know? Like, obviously it's all in German, so you're not going to be able to really understand it, but when you look into what the lyrics translate to, you'll be laughing your ass off, trust me. And that is it. That is another 6 albums down the old drain, so to speak. Next thing from me, you'll say, will probably be a very brief history of Weekend Was Wrong tomorrow, then the full episode on Wednesday, or I might push those back both back by a day. So, very brief history on Wednesday, full episode on Thursday. I don't know. And as for what's next, obviously there's not going to be a really stream tomorrow night because I'm taking a break for a bit after BBW vs AVW Year 3, if you want to call it that. Technically Year 1 is over. I will be streaming on Friday though, and I'm going to be trying something a bit different, and I think I might have a vlog prepared for by then. Because there's something I want to tell people that I've been holding off on doing for a while, and I think it's easier to just come clean about it soon. It's nothing terrible. But yeah, I will get to that when I get to it, and I'll see you all tomorrow or Wednesday or Thursday, at some point this week. And over there's going to be another episode of Music of the Week as well, at some point. Yeah, I'll see you whenever the hell I see you, and as always, thank you for watching, you're awesome. Bye-bye. Oh! Almost forgot! Most recommended, Badflower and Nominee, their albums, but also listen to all of these, give them at least one go, because they're all pretty good in their own right. But yeah, okay, now, as always, thank you for watching, you're awesome.